but you got to give the guy credit. I mean, that hole. How many birdies were seen today on the 18th hole? Not many. 3, 4? Was Fox the 4th birdie on that hole? To birdie that hole, to birdie any hole, but to birdie that hole specifically to win the championship, ballsy. So give the guy credit, even though I don't want to, the guy hadn't finished in the top 15 for any major championship in his career, and then he goes and wins the Open Championship. I mean, I don't usually like it when a guy like that wins a title. I like the big names. I want the big names, the chalk, the marquee names to win the championships in golf. But that's the sport. Sometimes this happens. Great finishing hole by Ryan Fox from New Zealand. Didn't know where he was from. New Zealand. And Cam Young had to sit around for 2+ hours or whatever it was, only to lose on the last shot of the tournament. That hurts. A lot to get to today. If you want to talk about the Open Championship, you golf sickos that are out there like me, feel free. 617-779-0985. I'll tell you what the highlight of the weekend was in terms of the golf. Rory McIlroy's comments were outstanding. Look, I think Bryson DeChambeau is good for golf, good for the game. I like when he's involved. Am I his biggest fan? No, but I like him. He's good for golf. But for Rory McIlroy to straight up come out on the record at a press conference with all the logos and everything behind him and just say, yeah, I'm not particularly fond of that guy, is awesome. I mean, that is awesome for the game. That's awesome for, content. That's awesome for everything involved with golf and the Open Championship and just the PGA Tour. To hear that level of beef in real time, open and honest assessment of the relationship that these two stars have, I wish there was more of that. I wish there was more radical candor. I also think golf should lean into it. And I don't mean just, hey, let's pair them or let's make a match for them to, the battle of Bighorn, whatever Tiger and Sergio Garcia did 25 years ago. I'm talking about golf should use a couple pages out of the wrestling playbook. If I were golf, I would do it. I would get them, not cheesy. I'm not talking about becoming cheesy. But you could plant a couple seeds that allow them to be in positions to have interactions that maybe aren't the most pleasant. I think that'd be good for the sport, good for ratings. And for business overall, I think it would, golf is a gentleman's game, and I understand that. But there's a lot of competition out there today for people's attention, for people's time. I don't know. I feel like putting them in a situation where they could really build off of what we heard Rory say, I think it would help everybody get more interested in golf. You can't make it a circus, so it can't be wrestling, obviously. But I would love to see them build off of those comments. That's all. That's all I was going to say. I don't know how you do it exactly. There's got to be people that work for the PGA Tour way smarter than me that can figure out, marketing, promotions, ways that they could use that. But I just love the fact that the two of the best guys in the game don't really care for each other. I think that's good for the sport. But you got to show it. You got to play off of that. That's what you're going to do. I mean, that's how you win a major championship. You birdie the last hole. You're staring at a playoff in the face. You birdie the last hole to win the championship, to win the title. That's awesome. I just wish it was somebody that's been a little bit more noteworthy in their career. Again, Ryan Fox. The best finish he's ever had in a major, or at least outside. I don't know what he's done in the Open Championship before this year. Was 19th, I think, at the PGA or something. He's never even been a factor at a major championship, and then finds a way to birdie the impossible 18th hole to win the title today. Okay. We'll see. The major season in general, a little underwhelming. I mean, obviously it started with a bang, Rory going back to back, but then you got Aaron Rye. Not, that's kind of a no name. Wyndham Clark, fine. And then you've got this guy, Ryan Fox. So not the greatest year in terms of champions at majors, but great theater today. Great tournament overall. I thought I might have placed a quick bet on Scotty Scheffler when he got to 18. I thought he'd do what Fox did. Good odds. Get me Scheffler in a playoff. I like my chances. I thought he would do what Ryan Fox did. Hit the fairway, hit shot that was close enough, and then make a ballsy putt. He didn't. He couldn't. So that bet went up in smoke, but that's okay. Great tournament to end the golf season, though. World Cup. Great matchup for the World Cup. Spain's been the best team. Argentina's got the most noteworthy player. So while we get this, we're getting all the international sports kind of out of the way here. I think that Argentina will lose this game. I can't see them going back to back. I love Spain in this spot. The Argentina shouldn't even be here. But I mean, I don't like Spain enough to make a bet on them because I respect the championship medal of Argentina. They've got Messi, they've got the trophy, they've got championship medal and grit, so I can't bet against them, so I won't. I do think Spain is the better, deeper team. Knocking off France was, that was impressive. I think this will be a great matchup. I hope it goes to penalty kicks. That's all I root for. Give me penalty kicks to determine the World Cup, the champion of the World Cup. And we'll see. I don't know how it works. I root for greatness. I like watching greatness, and I like analyzing it. Lionel Messi, when you talk about what he's accomplished in the game of soccer, I believe the only real legitimate, significant accolade that he does not have is the Golden Boot, which is given to the leading scorer in the World Cup. Now, I understand that's probably not the biggest award in sports, in soccer. But, I mean, the World Cup is the sport's biggest tournament, and if you can be the leading goal scorer in the biggest tournament that the sport has to offer, that's something that, it's like being Super Bowl MVP, even though it's not the MVP. It's like an award like that. And for a guy like Messi, I feel like that's a significant title to have, especially somebody that scored so many goals. I believe right now he is tied with France's Mbappe with 8 goals in the World Cup. So my guess, I don't know how this works exactly. My guess is they will give the Golden Boot to Messi and Mbappe. They'll share it, which will give Messi a quote-unquote Golden Boot, which would be the only thing I think that he hasn't achieved in the game of soccer, which would make him, he's already the undisputed greatest. But then you'd start to have a conversation about, is he the greatest athlete of all time? I'm completely biased in that opinion, but I would say no. Just because I'm from America and not enough people care about what's going on in soccer. He hasn't dominated on the biggest stage in the game. Obviously, soccer's deeper, more difficult to do something like that. But Michael Jordan dominated the finals. We've seen other dominant athletic feats. And dominance, if you're talking about the GOAT, has to play a part. Tiger Woods, dominant. Was Messi ever dominant? I guess from an accolade perspective, he was. I'd have to look. He's won a bunch of Champions League titles. I mean, that's good. Impressive, but I don't know if it's exactly what you're talking about in terms of the GOAT of GOATs. But I would like to see him win that award. I want to see. He's already won a Golden Boot for MVP of the World Cup. Check that. A Golden Ball. Golden Boot. You know what I just did? So this is So I just messed this up, and I'll tell you why. Because there was a third place game yesterday, which is stupid. Stupid. Okay? And now Messi is not going to win the Golden Boot because Kylian Mbappe had 2 goals in a freaking useless, meaningless game to determine third place. I guess if you want to play it like the Olympics, there needs to be a bronze medalist or whatever you want to call it. But that is weak ace that he is going to win the award because, I mean, I'm just assuming Messi's not going to score 2 goals in the championship game against Spain. Maybe he will. But the fact that Mbappe, I mean, all right, give France credit. They got to the the third place game and gave Mbappe another chance to do it. But man, does that suck. Third place game, and he gets 2 goals, and that's going to count against them. Awful. Messi, that is awful. Bummer. All right. Well, I don't know what I'm talking about in terms of that because I didn't think that game factored in. That shouldn't even factor in. When your team's eliminated from championship contention, you should play the game for third place and not have it factored towards the accolades associated with the World Cup. Brutal. Absolutely. The team's out of the tournament. They can't win it. I mean, you don't think it was a little fishy, Joe Murray? Smelly? That it was a 6-4 game? How many games in the World Cup had 10 goals? The whole tournament. It's because nobody gives a rip because it's not for anything, really. Nobody cares about third place. You let Mbappe get 2 goals. Screw Messi's chances. Steve's in the car on the Open Championship. I want to take it. Hey, Steve.
First of all, I agree with you. We should give soccer, FIFA, and the World Cup the Golden Boot off our screens for a while. I think I'm kind of soccered out. But anyway, just a quick about Dark Horse winners. But he was actually a member of the legendary rugby team, the All Blacks from New Zealand.
Okay.
This is not your typical golfer. He's kind of a badass.
Good for him. I didn't know that.
And real quick on the Red Sox, we got to start calling Rowan Anthony Broken Anthony because you don't get exiled to Florida for nothing. So I think there's something else going on there. But anyway, man, good job. Appreciate the work, and thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, we're gonna get to the Red Sox next. I know they're playing, but I got to say something about them. Yeah, it's good. I mean, look, I'm not trying to hate on Ryan Fox. Like I said, mad respect for the way he closed. I mean, to make a birdie on that hole of all holes, to win the championship like that, staring at a playoff in the face with Cam Young, who won the Players' Championship. I mean, that's as good as it gets. Clutch, ballsy, all of the above. I just wish it was a bigger name. I just don't like when guys that have never been in the top 18 of a major championship. Again, I don't know what he's done in the Open Championship prior to this year. So maybe he's had better Open Championships, but I know that's not one of the top players in the game. But, I mean, what he did down the stretch today, birdieing 4 of the last 6 holes, and then what he did on 18, drive down the middle, unbelievable approach, and he pours in the putt like that with the championship on the line. You got to give the guy credit. So I will. I'm completely conflicted with the Boston Red Sox. Well, actually, no, I'm not. I know what I'm doing. I'm just pissed off that I have to do it. Okay, and I'll outline that next. I'll explain it to you next, and you can tell me how wrong I am, if I am wrong, and how you're dealing with this. Okay, because this, for a Red Sox fan like myself, to me, I'm in a significant quandary. I don't like this position I'm in. Okay? Maybe it's a me problem, and I'm willing to accept that and admit that, but I don't care. This is my stance, and you're going to get it next. Mark Dondero, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports.
You're not all listening or watching the game. I just have to say this. I don't buy it. I don't care. Look, 12 straight wins is fun. It's fun. I'm having fun. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to buy into this. Sorry. If you want to tell me I'm wrong, fine. I'm not going to criticize you for buying in and having fun. You can do that if you want to. I encourage you to do that if you want to. Okay? What I'm not going to do, though, and I can't bring myself to do it, I disagree with their foundational philosophies on how they've built teams in recent years. I disagree with it. Now, this is great. I give the players, the manager, everybody between the lines, I give them a ton of credit. Great job turning around the season, 12, 13 straight wins. I am for that. I give them nothing but credit and respect. Excellent. Outstanding. But I refuse. This is not the Boston Red Sox, number one. That's the truth. That's the truth. This isn't the real team. They're going to come back to regress to the mean. That's going to happen. I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news. That's just reality. It's not the actual team. They're just hot. And good for them. You should enjoy it if they're hot and you like seeing them win. I like seeing them win. I just don't think the way the team is built is the right way to build a team. I disagree with it. I'm not going to come off of that because they've won 12 in a row. I don't care. I disagree with what John Henry has done with this team and how he approaches building it now. I disagree with it. So I am not going to take my pants off to 12 wins, to 15 wins, to 17. I don't care what it is. Until I'm proven by their play that this model can win a championship, which is what I'm interested in, I don't want to support it. And I won't. And maybe that's my problem. And it might be. It sure as heck might be. But I can't do it. I am not going to sit here and criticize and rip John Henry for months and months and months about the way they've constructed this team, the way they go about, building a roster, the way they go about spending their money and allocating their resources, and the far cry from what they used to be, and criticizing him for that when we see other organizations like the Dodgers do what they're doing. Other organizations get aggressive at the trade deadline, make major splashes, and find ways to win championships that way. And then because they won 12 games, 2 weeks, I'm going to abandon all of my thoughts and my opinions on how they've done this and just say, actually, you know what? Never mind. No! It's 2 weeks in July. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And that's the pickle that we're in. That's the problem. And this is why I'm very resentful towards John Henry. That he has made me do this. That he's made me become this type of analyst on his team. I hate it. I don't want to be this way. I don't want to have to do this. But I feel like a hypocrite if I just, okay, well, now they've won 12 in a row in the regular season in July, and everything's okay now. So that, because then what happens? If they cool off 6 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, I go back to bitching? Is that what I'm supposed to do? Oh, everything was fine. We're back. Red Sox are back. And then they go back to sucking what they really are, average at best. They go back to that. They win 6, they lose 6. They win 2, they lose 2. And then it's, actually, wait, never mind. Everything's bad again. No. I disagreed then with how they've built this team. I disagree now with how they've built this team. And I'm going to continue to disagree with how they've built this team until I see the improvements I'm looking for. Aggressive trade deadline acquisitions for star players. Aggressive offseason spending and trades for guys that could be atop your rotation, middle of the order bats, things like that, things that they used to do that the Dodgers and teams that win the championship still do. Otherwise, I'm always going to have a beef. Until I see that, I'm not changing my perspective. I'm sorry. And yes, it hurts me. And again, I'm not telling you to see it the way I see it. If you're okay accepting what they are and want to root for what they are, be my guest. But these aren't the Red Sox, of my childhood, or at least, the team I thought was doing everything and anything they could to win the championship. They just didn't know how, or they weren't good enough. And then all of a sudden you go on a 12-game winning streak. Well, then you're, on the moon, over the moon. This isn't that. This organization, this owner knows how to win. The CBO was on a team that won the championship. They know how to win. They know what it takes to win. And they refuse to go there. Just because they won these games doesn't mean they went there or they're in the right position. They're not. It's the exact same team. They're hot. And I don't want to be somebody in 6 weeks backtracking after I bought all this stock. This is great. Wow, what a great... No, this is still a bad approach to building a baseball team given the current structure of Major League Baseball, and I disagree with it. So I'm not getting all excited. They're going to regress back to what they normally, or what their real ceiling is, and we're going to be back to where we were. The win streak, obviously fun. It'll help, but we're going to get back to where we were. And then what am I supposed to say? Oh, actually, never mind. I'm still against what they do, and John Henry. No, I'm going to stick with that all the way through until I see the changes I'm looking for. Peter's on Hampton Beach. Hey, Peter.
Hi, Dondero. Great show on Sundays.
Thanks.
Love listening to you. Just wanted to reiterate what you said. I agree we're having a good summer right now with the Red Sox the last 3 weeks, but it's, the American League is so bad. There's no reason why we shouldn't make the playoffs and enjoy baseball for the next 2 months. And especially if Crochet comes back. I don't know about Anthony and Meyer, but if the team's bought in, everybody's hustling, running out ground balls, playing small ball, and our pitching is the best pitching staff actually, and probably in the MLB. We've allowed the least amount of runs. I can't see why this can't continue. I mean, you look at a team like the Mets, they throw money at everybody. Soto's makes $750 million a year, and he can't even run out a ground ball when he should beat it out. It's, you know what I mean? It's like, it's not going to be the Red Sox of 20 years ago or 10 years ago, but I just still think the way that we should be in the playoffs. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Peter. No, it's good perspective. Look, he brought up the Mets. I understand what you're saying, Peter, but the Mets, at least from my perspective, I can say two things about the Mets. They're trying to win, and that model that they threw all the money at these players, these star players, that model has proven to win in the past. Now, they got it wrong, apparently. Maybe Juan Soto isn't the guy you want as the face of your franchise. Or they threw the money at the wrong players, and the chemistry's not good, or the makeup of the team, whatever it is. At least I can say they are trying whatever it takes to win. This model that the Red Sox have put into practice is proven to never have worked. No team has ever won the World Series trying to do this. Oakland, Tampa, Milwaukee, Moneyball doesn't win. Doesn't win. So knowing, and you factor, or I guess you could say you add in the fact that John Henry was the one who built the Red Sox into the championship team. He was the owner. He oversaw all the big moves, all the aggressive spending. He was the guy. He knows what it takes. He did it, and now he refuses. That makes it worse. This is what I meant when I talked about the 90s. And maybe they were just cheaper then, I didn't realize. But at least I could go to sleep at night knowing they're doing whatever it takes to win. Mets. Even if it didn't work out. I go back to the trade I always go back to. Pablo Sandoval, Adrian Gonzalez, Hanley Ramirez. Those guys, acquisitions like that. Did it work out? Absolutely not. They offloaded, where did they offload all those? Or Carl Crawford. That's who it was. Carl Crawford. Pablo Sandoval. Those guys got shipped out to the Dodgers. Didn't work. It was a disaster. But at least I said to myself, the Red Sox are trying everything they can to get the talent in here to win. Because that's how you do it in Major League Baseball. Didn't work out. Bummer. And you could criticize why it didn't work out, how it didn't work out, analyze why it did. I get all that. I'm just saying they were at least trying to win. Right now, they're just riding a high because they got a couple of 4A players involved. Their top prospects and best players, a diva. They get some guys that actually want to play hard, and they catch fire, and they go on a winning streak. It's fun. But you and I both know what's going to happen. Don't you? And again, I'm not telling you not to enjoy this. I'm just saying you know and I know what's going to happen. 5 weeks from now, when they're floundering again, winning games, losing games, 3-game losing streak, win a game, another 2-game losing streak, win 2 in a row, you're gonna realize that that's who they are. They're an average at best team that's really going nowhere, maybe making the playoffs, but going nowhere significant. And that's that. So I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to fall for it in the midst of a great stretch. Credit to the team. Credit to the players. A great stretch. And by the way, they did the same thing last year. Okay? And what happened at the end of that? I mean, they ended up losing in the playoffs in unspectacular fashion. So they made the first round. Good. They won a game in the playoffs, then lost. It's not like we've never seen this. We've never seen 12 or 13 wins. Haven't seen 12 wins since 2006. I don't think 13 wins since, the 40s? So that would be cool. But, again, they won 10 in a row going into the break last year and had that insane walk-off, the electrifying moment from Cedar Rafaela. And ultimately, I mean, it didn't do anything for them. They were still just an average team who couldn't get the big hit in the playoffs, and they lost in the first round. So that's where we're at. 617-779-0985. It does put the team in an interesting situation when you talk about Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer. That's what's interesting to me. Because that's your best player in Anthony, and that's your future. And they're better without those guys, at least right now. What do you do now with that knowledge? 617-779-0985. Mark Dondero, 98.5, The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5, The Sports Hub.
Selling your home can be stressful and a giant hassle. What I would do is call the Nathan Clark team with your Home Sold Guarantee Realty. Nathan gets you cash offers.
Hey, how's it going today?
What's up?
Good. Couple of things. I'm going to answer your first question about what do they do when Roman comes back. Oh, my gosh. What we do is we keep the same team the way it is right now, as long as they're playing 700 ball over a 10 to 14-day period. Then we'll get it back in. So whenever he comes back, if we're playing at a clip like we're playing now, we're not going to rush him in. That sends a bad message to the team in some ways. So you got to wait it out. Mm-hmm. He'll eventually get in because the team's not going to go, 700 for a long time. But at least that way, you continue to build the confidence in the existing team. Now, you're right, Steve, about the long-term view. You're right. I mean, Henry's made a lot of bad moves. You don't want to reward him for a team coming together chemistry-wise. But like the last call said, you got to enjoy this season. Who knows how far they could go with a couple of guys back. You never want to throw away any opportunity. And so you're allowed, we're going to give you a pass. You're allowed to pivot. Don't worry about your principles and all that stuff, being called a hypocrite. We're going to give you a waiver for this year.
Well, thank you, Rob. I guess that's the way. This is the call I needed to have. Thank you, Rob. Because this is what, from a talk show perspective, and as a host on the station, I'm just trying to make my position clear. I guess that's what I'm doing here. In private, I will enjoy some of the ride. That's what I will do. And that's what I guess I have been doing. But I'm just making sure everybody that's listening understands this is not something I'm falling for. I don't think they're good enough. I don't think that this is going to last. I think they're going to come back to earth. And in 2 to 4, maybe 5 weeks, we are going to be back being frustrated with this team being average at best. They're just hot. We've all seen it happen. If you play golf, you know what I'm talking about. I've had stretches where I went birdie, birdie, par, par. Is that really my, the player I am? No. But everybody can get hot. And the Red Sox are hot. So I'm reestablishing I am not sold. I am not okay with what they're doing because of the 12-game winning streak or whatever it might end up being. Doesn't faze me. It is fun. I will try to have fun. I'm not telling you to not enjoy it. I'm just telling you I still have a major beef with the way they build this team. And despite the fact that they're doing this right now, that doesn't change my position. So when they come out of it, I'm going to be the same way as I am right now while they're in it and as I was before they got into this hot streak. Don't agree. And I'm frankly, I'm annoyed that I have to be put in this position where I can't just enjoy it because I know at their core they're not doing everything they can to win. This is exactly what they want. They want this so I can fall for it and be content with them doing it the way they're doing it. I'm not going to do that. Tim is in Nashua. Hey, Tim.
So I want to talk about the Red Sox in the future of catching. And, you know, it's okay to have two serviceable catchers, but I haven't heard anything from the minors about, you know, up-and-coming catchers. Are you concerned with just plugging those two catches that we have in, or do you think that they need to upgrade that position?
Okay, well, that's interesting. Thanks, Tim. I do think they need to upgrade the position. Am I concerned? Sure. I'll say I'm concerned. Their seventh best prospect right now is a catcher, Franklin Primera. Don't know too much about him. You know, his average doesn't look all that enticing. He's got one home run on the season. It doesn't look like they're very deep at the position. But like I said, or I guess I didn't say this, what I'd like to think is this team, see, this is part of the reason why I harbor the ill feelings towards what John Henry's doing. This question shouldn't be a big problem. It just shouldn't. Oh, you need a catcher? Well, there's a bunch of prospects in the organization. Go sign a catcher. Go find a catcher. That's what the old Red Sox would have done. They would have identified somebody in Major League Baseball, especially if you think you're a team that has the capability of getting to the playoffs and making real noise or getting to a World Series. They would find a player in Major League Baseball that they would sign, Jared Saltalamacchia, that they could bring in. That was an established catcher. Okay? That could do things immediately for the Major League team because you have the prospects to deal. And they like that's not what they instead, what's happening now is we need guys like, you know, the caller to look at, you know, look down the pipeline, see there's not much there, and now he's concerned. He shouldn't be concerned. I mean, why can't you find, first of all, they've never won the World Series with an all-everything catcher. It was Jason Varitek, who obviously was very good, the captain, all that. Then who was the guy, you know, Saltalamacchia, was he the catcher in 2013? Who was the catcher? I don't even remember 2018. Sandy Leon? Was he the catcher? Was it Christian Vasquez? Like, you shouldn't have a problem. It was those guys? Okay. You shouldn't have a problem finding guys like that. Would I like a new Jason Varitek, somebody, a stalwart at the position that you know that is going to be there for years and years? Of course. But you have prospects. You have an ability to find some. You shouldn't have a problem finding a catcher. Connor Wong with a better bat. That's all you need. If he can defend like Connor Wong and have a decent enough offensive repertoire, that's all this team needs. They don't need Mike Piazza. That'd be great, but you don't need that. You don't even need Jorge Posada or Jason Varitek. Just give me somebody that's, not a 4A catcher, a major league guy. 617-779-0985. Mark Dondero, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
All right, back here in Waltham, 98.5, the Sports Hub. Who's that, Flagpole Sitta?
Yes.
Who sings that one again? Harvey Danger. Okay. Did you know that was like a thing? Like it was an actual thing back in the 20s? It was like a fad. Like it would have been like a TikTok trend today. People would sit on top of flagpoles or something like that. They would say there was an actual thing about 100 years ago, and people would try to do it. It was a test of endurance that people thought was relevant to the. I don't know why they did it, and I don't know how they did it, but it was a thing, and I'm assuming that's what the song's about. So there's your history lesson for the day. Totally bizarre, but it is something that they used to do. Look, they're going to need Roman Anthony on this team. The Red Sox are going to need Roman Anthony at some point. He's too talented. He's too good. He was their lone representative in the World Baseball Classic for Team USA. I think was there somebody else? He was their marquee representative. I know other Red Sox players played in the World Baseball Classic. He was the guy for Team USA. They're going to need him. There is no doubt in my mind, though, that there's a problem. Obviously his attitude and Meyer, there's something going on there that's not working. Okay? Not working. And that has created a toxic environment in the clubhouse. And since those guys have been removed from the situation, things have gotten better. Now, obviously, like I said, I don't think it's going to last. This type of effort only goes so far, and then, you need dudes. But everything's turning up Red Sox at this point. I mean, the guy gets in, where is he from? Minnesota. Jahmai Jones hits a home run his first at bat. You kidding me? What? It's great. Fun. I just know when it starts to turn the other way, it's going to become ugly, and nobody's going to want to, acknowledge the fact that for a month it was good, but then, the roster isn't good enough again, and then everybody's back on the hot seat. Or it'll happen at the trade deadline when they don't do anything. I mean, if you think this team is all set, you're nuts. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see where it goes. I don't buy it. Shout out to everybody at Fanatics Fest. I may or may not have gotten swept up in some of the Super Bowl for collectors that's going on. And I bought a Ken Griffey Jr. card that I probably shouldn't have bought. But, those are assets, and they're liquid, and it's a good investment. So that was my guy. Listen, do I have the best card collection on earth? No. But my Griffey collection could, it can match up with somebody's, it can stand on its own. It's solid. I got rid of a bunch of my cards a long time ago when I was cleaning out the house, and my wife was like, well, do you need all these? The Griffey cards stayed. And I've added to it here and there. I don't actively collect. I don't collect any current players or anything like that, but the Griffey stuff stays, and I do have a fairly decent Barry Bonds collection too. Not to the level of Griffey, not even close, but the Bonds stuff is respectable. So, and Nomar Garciaparra, Mo Vaughn, pretty good too. That was my, that was my era back then, so that's why a lot of those cards remained. Yeah, I just, the Red Sox, it's fun now. I don't want you to be in a situation where you've bought in and then you look like a fool in 5 weeks when they've gotten back to what they were, what they are. And, we've never even seen this model. Well, I guess we can't say that because Tampa did make the World Series. Randy Arozarena, they've never won it. And I just refuse to buy in, especially when you're an organization that has the funds and has done it. So I refuse. Are we going to get a headline right here, Jeff? Okay, we're going to get a headlines. No commercials. We'll be right back. We'll finish up this conversation. And I have something to say about the NBA and Jaylen Brown specifically. Something we haven't addressed. 617-779-0985. Mark Dondero, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
From the Delaware Tiger Studios, this is Boston's home for sports. Touchdown! The flagship station of the Patriots, Bruins, the Celtics. WBCFM Boston 98.5 The Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group station celebrating 65 years of broadcasting. Sports Hub headlines.
Ryan Fox is the winner of the Open Championship in England. He made a birdie on the diabolical 18th hole, avoiding a playoff with Cam Young and winning his first career major championship. It's the first major champion from New Zealand since 1963. Ryan Fox had not ever... First major champion from New Zealand, 1963. Big win for him. Red Sox update, currently up 4-1. They are in the 5th inning at Fenway. Sox in control. Caleb Durbin in this game, a hit and an RBI. Red Sox going for 13 straight wins, a feat the organization has not accomplished since 1948. So they can win this game. History, to say the least. Pretty impressive. World Cup just about to get underway. The final, Spain, Argentina. We'll keep you updated as that gets going. And NBA Summer League action from yesterday. The Celtics fell to the Magic 103-97. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Boston Vision. Boston Vision helps baseball legend David Ortiz get back to seeing 20/20 again, and they can do the same for you. See big like Poppy. Book your free evaluation at bostonvision.com. I'm Mark Dondero for Boston's Home for Sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub. Next update, about an hour.
But he's got a breakaway. To the backhand. Throws it in front. Coming to the spot.
The Sports Hub. Boston sports. Yeah, we got that covered. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
I just kind of disagree with what you're saying, that they're not going to keep up the pace. Obviously, the pace is ridiculous. But with the new culture that they've developed, I've heard you say it before in the week, the exodus of the entitlement, Marcelo, Roman, Bayo, and then like Story not playing. I think this new culture that we've seen come from guys like Monasterio and Durbin's rise. I think that honestly, maybe if we get one more bat, this could be the potential pace we could be seeing. Obviously, not winning 14 in a row, but winning series consistently because these guys just want to play ball. That's all. I'm going to hang up and hear what you have to say about just the culture change with those, three guys being gone, specifically Mayer, Roman Anthony, and Brian Bayo.
All right. Thanks, Hunter. Yeah, I mean, I'd love for that to happen. I just think we need to keep in mind that this is now a 500 team. They're 49. What are they? 49 and 48. Now we'll see how long they can keep this streak going. But if they, go back down a little bit, that's going to be a 500 team. Pretty much. Is anybody interested in just having a 500 team? Now, maybe they're a little bit better than 500. Great. Then it becomes, all right, well, what's their ceiling? What's their true potential? Do they have the dudes necessary? I do think you're going to need Roman Anthony, but they needed this first. So to Hunter's point, yes, they needed this first. They needed to right the ship from an organizational culture perspective, which it feels like they've done. Who's the leader on this team? I don't even know who it is. Who's at the head of the table in terms of this turnaround? Who spearheaded this? I don't know who that is. Is it Contreras? Their all-star? Is it their other all-star? Rafaela? Was Sedan behind it? Like, where did this come from? Or was it just the relief of getting whatever toxicity existed between Meyer and Anthony out of the clubhouse? They found a little refreshing stretch. With them gone, they get hot, they win a game, they win 3 games, before you know it, they've won 12 in a row. Is that what this is? Is that a red flag? I don't know. That feels a bit like a red flag to me. What started this? Where did this come from? Is it just because your best player is now gone? I don't know. That doesn't feel great. That doesn't sound great. I would rather the win streak start when your best player returns and you can use your best player's talents to win. I don't want the win streak to start when you exile your best player. That feels a little effed up. Another reason why I have severe reservations about jumping all in. It's a great stretch. This is fun. Great stretch. But again, it just feels off. And I don't even, feelings aside, I don't think this is the true Boston Red Sox. I think they're a 500 team. I probably didn't say it enough. Maybe I didn't believe it. So they proved me wrong in the regard of maybe I thought that the team from 6 weeks ago was the real Red Sox, that they were that bad. I should have known better. They probably weren't that bad. They were just playing poorly, and now they're showing us they're not that bad. But if you think they're that good, I think you're mistaken. I just think they're hot, and they're showing us they're not that bad. And now we're sort of getting into the dog days of the season. It is what it is. I will give the Red Sox credit for this, though. They've done similar things the last few years in terms of, being hot leading into the All-Star break. But after the All-Star break, they've come crashing back down. Not this time. Not this time. They are staying hot after the break. I will give them all the credit for that. That's different. And that's good. A couple years ago, out of the break, they went 5-6? Was that last year? Now, I get it. The American League is down. But I'm still going to give them credit for coming out of the break the right way. Because that's what they needed. 3 straight wins out of the break is new. That is not what they've been doing. Okay, 2024 out of the break, they lost 4 in a row. Killed all momentum. And Wilson Contreras just homered. '25 out of the break, they lost their first, 4 of their first 5 games after the All-Star break. Sox up 6-1. It's becoming silly. 13 straight. Haven't done it since 1948. Hey, give them the credit they deserve. They deserve this credit. These players have done this. And it's awesome that they're doing this, and it's fun. But I have to keep the bigger picture in mind. The Oakland A's won 20 in a row once upon a time. Now, that's a streak. Look, even if they're not real contenders for a championship, you want to talk about 20 straight wins? I'm in, baby. I mean, that type of record would be awesome. That would be fun to chase. I got to see if that's still the record. I'm looking it up. Whoops. Guess that's not the record. It's the modern record. Because any other team that won a significant amount of games, you're talking about 1916, the New York Giants, 1935, the Cubs won 21 in a row. The Chicago White Stockings won 21 in a row in 1880. Okay. The 47 Yankees, 19 consecutive. And then the 1906 White Sox won 19 consecutive. The real record is Oakland in 2002 when they won 20. That's a modern era record. Okay. And maybe the Moneyball approach does what you need it to do to get you to a record like that. But it doesn't get you to a championship. You need dudes. You need big bats. You need big name players to get it done. And I just, I don't think they have it. But if they, today 13 wins, that would be, I would embrace the chase for 20 to beat that A squad. Embrace it. And I'll tell you what, they get to 13. They could tie the record if they got it is too early to have this conversation. I'll admit that. But if they were going to make a run at that record, they would be in a position to tie and then break that record against guess who? The Athletics. Now, I don't even know where they play now. Where do they? They're not in Oakland. Where are they? Vegas? Sacramento? Where the hell are they? I don't even know where their games are. But they would be playing the A's to break the record. Okay. 13 wins. They've got 3 at home against Baltimore. Baltimore 48-51. Not some juggernaut. After the 3 against Baltimore, they've got 3 against Toronto at home. Toronto 46-53. Not a juggernaut. If they can get there, okay, so that would be 19 wins if they sweep both the Orioles and the Blue Jays. The 20th win would be against the Athletics, 42-56, and then the 21st win again against the Athletics. They've got 4 games out west against wherever they are, Athletics. Too early to have this conversation, but fun nonetheless. I didn't realize that Spain has given up 1 goal total in the World Cup. That's kind of nuts. The whole tournament. They're good. Argentina just had a little bit of a chance there to let it slip away. We'll keep you updated on this game. I'm just pissed that Messi's not going to get that golden boot. He's not going to score 2 goals in this game. PKs don't count. I mean, if Spain's given up 1 goal the whole damn tournament, he's not going to get 2 goals in this game. Because Mbappe, in a meaningless exhibition, he scored 2 goals. Stupid. He would have been better off losing, playing in that crap, and just scoring when the other team didn't even care. (617-779-0985). How long do you... when can we have that conversation about 20 straight? They have to get past the Orioles. They have to sweep the Orioles for me to think about it? Because I'm starting to think about it. See, that's a little micro goal that I can establish for myself, as a fan, that I could get behind. That's what I'm rooting for now. So, okay, are they good enough to win the World Series? Probably not. I'm not going to buy into their ability to be contenders for a championship. Whatever. I'm all in on 20 in a row. Give me the record. I want 21 in a row. Give me the record. Okay? You got home games. The teams aren't that good. Both teams are going to play below 500. Give me the record. Let's go for it. They're going to win 13 straight here. Haven't done that since 48. What are I'm going to look up longest winning streaks in MLB history. They got to have some type of record already, right? Wait. Did the Guardians win 22 games in a row? It says 2017 Cleveland Guardians. Is that true? No. I would have remembered that. Do I not remember that?
No, it's starting to come to me too. I'm pretty sure that did happen, yeah.
Oh, damn. All right, maybe I do remember that. All right, that's a little... Damn it. That's going to be a little harder to get to. So I guess I can't talk about it. Impressive. 22 straight. That's insane. But now I think I do remember. Didn't have the fanfare of Moneyball. But what do you know? Another small market team finishing off a huge win streak. That's fine. Look, I mean, let's see how far they can go. They're still, even if they get to 22, they've got Baltimore, Toronto, Oakland, or Vegas, or whatever it is. 3 teams below 5. I mean, you could do it. You just got to keep going. More than halfway there after today. Another thing that could kill this team's momentum, we're not going to get there before the 22 straight, I don't think. I'd have to do the math, is the trade deadline. I'm sure what's going to happen is this team went from becoming sellers to now just kind of standing pat. I don't think they're going to do anything aggressive that's going to get people excited. They're probably just not going to sell off some of the pieces they were going to sell off. Sonny Gray, Aroldis Chapman. Maybe they deal Chapman. I just don't think they're going to do much. They're going to keep it the way it is, and then they'll sell us on Roman Anthony coming back or Garrett Crochet coming back. That's the real trade deadline acquisition, which is garbage. But that's where we are. 617-779-0985. I want to make a Jaylen Brown point when we get back. There was a trade today in the NBA that I think speaks to what the Celtics were doing. Not on the same level, but it's similar. I'll explain. And where does Jaylen Brown rank as an individual performer in the history of Boston sports? I haven't had that conversation yet, but he deserves that conversation. I'm going to give him that respect. And I want to think about the answer. Chime in if you have an answer. 617-779-0985. Mark Dondero, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Still no score in the World Cup final. Yeah, it'll be an interesting trade deadline for the Red Sox. I mean, they should add, but I don't think they will. They'll stand pat and try to ride this streak because fans are buying in. And Tony Maz is happy. The results are in, Jeff, from the member guest golf tournament that Hardy and Tony Maz played in. Should I put that in headlines? Is that something that goes in headlines or no? We'll leave it private.
Yeah, might as well.
And just let them do their thing. Okay. Just checking. I want to make sure all the bases are covered. Interesting trade today in the NBA. The Oklahoma City Thunder trading Lou Dort for nothing, really. They didn't really get much back. They traded him to the Atlanta Hawks. This was a deal made to keep them out of the second apron, which every team is trying to do. They're all trying to avoid the second apron like the plague. So I just feel like, and I said this after my initial reaction was public or went public on the Jaylen Brown trade, as much as I didn't like it, I, thought about it some more and wanted to be a little bit more patient and try to wait and see how the rest of the league handles their stars as we move forward. Now we have a show to do today, so that's hard to do. But it feels like there's a lot of teams that could get boxed into the position that the Celtics were in. So I just don't know if I'm ready to completely tear them to shreds. And then we see Lou Dort get traded. And I'm just confirming here, Jeff. The win streak was real by the Guardians, 2017. 22 straight before losing 4-3 on September 15th to the Kansas City Royals. And then after that loss, after the 22 straight wins, they won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more in a row. Lost again and then kind of came back to earth a little bit, but they were winning. So 2017 Guardians, the modern era win streak to go for. 22 in a row. So it's, the Red Sox, they got a ways to go. But it's still a fun stretch for now. Where does Jaylen Brown rank? That's a question I want to ask. Look, there's no getting around the fact that Celtics are worse today than they were, a month ago. And I don't think next year is going to be all that much. I don't think it's going to be all that lucrative considering the player that they just lost. Now, where they could be interesting is if we see other teams do what the Oklahoma City Thunder did today. Lou Dort isn't Jaylen Brown, but he was a significant piece of the team that won the championship. A defensive stalwart, one of their best defenders, an all-league defensive type of guy. They had to get rid of him. Now, they still got a really good group of players. They're so deep. All those things are true. But if that type of move continues to get made by multiple teams, it might not be as dire for the Celtics as we thought in the moment. That's all. As far as Jaylen Brown goes, where does he rank among the greats in terms of Boston sports? He's got to be up there. All the winning, the individual accolades. He won a championship. He was a finals MVP. What he did in that run was noteworthy. I don't care about the schedule. I don't care about the opponents. They were legit. He was legit. It's real. I've been making a list here. A quick Maz's tiers. Quick. Obviously, if we put this, I'm not going to include everyone because we're not doing the tiers. But if we have a top tier, we'll put in the top tier modern. We're not doing, back in the 50s. We put Brady. We put Ortiz. You could put Pedro up there. Legends who won a championship, I would put in that top tier. Then the second tier, I'd put a guy like Paul Pierce. I put Rob Gronkowski in the first tier. I put Edelman in the second tier. So Julian Edelman would be in that second tier. I put, Zdeno Chara in that second tier. Bergeron in that second tier. I'll put, Pedroia in that second tier. I guess the question is Jaylen Brown in that second tier? Does he make it in? I don't think he does. I think he's in the third tier. I think he's in a tier with Mookie Betts. Betts wasn't here long enough, as good as he was. Didn't have the postseason resume with the Red Sox. Betts is in the third tier. Brown is in the third tier. I have them in that range there. Pasternak in the third tier. I guess. He hasn't won anything. Where do you put Ray Bork? Second tier? Put him there. Put Tatum in the second tier as of right now. Why Tatum? Well, first team All-NBA and a champion, and he's won 2 gold medals. It's more than what Brown's done. He's got multiple first team All-NBAs. I'm sorry. If we're going to do resumes and legacies, that means something. Tatum above Brown. Brown does have a couple second team All-NBAs, won the finals MVP. He's in the third tier, though. That's where he is. You put him there with guys like, who's a Patriot you'd put in that third tier? James White make it into that? Probably not. Who's in the third tier for Patriots? I'll put Troy Brown there. I mean, 2001 was a ridiculous season. He didn't do quite as much, so maybe he should. I don't know. Maybe he shouldn't be there. Take him out. I got to be missing a good third-tier Patriot. I'll think of it. Excuse me. Yeah, I like that. Brown, Mookie Betts. It's a good comp. He's above David Krejci. Yeah, you know who I'll put in the third tier? Brad Marchand. That's who it is. That's who you're talking about. I think you're talking about Dante Hightower. Third tier. There's my Patriot. Made some big plays in the postseason. Really solid regular season player. Never an all NFL, annually all NFL, all league type of guy. Sorry, that was a fur ball. Woo! Happens every now and then. Give me a second, I'll get it back. 617-779-0985. Marchand, Hightower, Betts, Brown. That's the third tier there. He's with them. He deserves credit. He deserves to be looked back on fondly here. I thought what he did in the playoff run in 2024 was absolutely legit. Big shot during Game 4 in Dallas. Iced the game. Big shot to force overtime in that series against Indiana. Has some missteps. Couldn't come up big a couple times when Tatum was out and this and that. But by and large, I think Jaylen Brown deserves to be viewed as a money player that ultimately got it done. And he's, with those guys. Now I want to fill this whole thing out. Probably not the best use of time. But that's the tier he's in. Betts, Jaylen Brown, Dante Hightower, Brad Marchand. If there was a fourth tier, that'd be a guy like Antoine Walker. Where do you put Kevin Youkilis? Does he go with Brown or is he that tier below? Probably below. And obviously this is just with the Celtics. Because I don't think if Jaylen Brown retired today, I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. He should get his number retired in Boston, but he's not a Hall of Famer. So that's one part of this. So yeah, he should be wildly celebrated when he comes back. He should be applauded. I genuinely don't think he wanted to leave. Some good, some bad, some annoying. And we'll see what happens with the Celtics. But that trade that the Thunder made sort of outlines where we are in the NBA. I just think that the Thunder are going to have an easier time getting over that trade than the Celtics will trying to get over trading Jaylen Brown. Because that's not something that you can just get over. (617-779-0985). Mark Dondero, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
All right, back here, 98.5 The Sports Hub, 617-779-0985. This is the same situation. See, this is why I've been so frustrated this summer. Celtics have turned into the Red Sox. The Red Sox have turned into the Celtics. And neither team is capable of winning a championship. Look, I think you're doing the right thing. Just try to put the blinders on. Hope for the best. And hope that this is a team that come playoff time is good enough to win it all. Because, shutting them out, especially while they're winning, doesn't really make any sense. I'm just telling you, I am not changing my perception of this team. I'm still disappointed in the way they've built this team. I'm still disappointed in their overall philosophies. I hate the fact that Sam Kennedy and Craig Breslow are in the box high-fiving each other, thinking they got the last laugh, and that everybody is swept up in this streak, and that now everybody forgets about how pathetic and cheap and annoying they've been. And now the Celtics are in that position too. Now, at least for the Celtics, I can tell myself that they had no choice. Now, maybe they did have a choice, and time will tell, depending on how Bill Chisholm, spends money and if he is as aggressive as he talks about being, and if that actually comes home to roost. But to me, I can tell myself the Celtics, as much as it stinks that they got rid of Jaylen Brown, I can say to myself, at least they were doing what they could do, because the second apron tied their hands. That's the thing that, I could at least tell. So even if they're not winning, well, hey, they had no choice. They had to get rid of that player, else they would have been, I don't understand, too. If every team is terrified of that second apron, I ran into this on Felger and Mass, where, they were acting like I didn't understand what was going on. I sort of do, because every team in the league looks terrified of this second apron. So there's got to be significant basketball penalties associated with it that are driving teams away from it. Okay, that's the trend that I'm seeing. And if that's the case, Brad Stevens is not as vilified. He shouldn't be as vilified as he is. Now, other teams haven't traded Jaylen Brown for peanuts the way the Celtics sort of did or seem to do. But I'm just saying there are other teams that are going to come down this road, and I don't think the Celtics are going to be alone. And Brownie's a third-tier player. Now, he's in his prime. That's what's disappointing. But if you feel like you're not going to be able to field an adequate roster, you got to do what you got to do. The NBA should change something in order to, keep it so these players can stay on their teams that drafted them, that developed them. Bad on the NBA. And now I'm making excuses for Brad Stevens. I still think he should have gotten more, could have gotten more. But obviously, that's a red flag to me because it feels like the NBA knows something that we don't. And that's why Philly was able to get him for what they got him for. He's a tier 3 player. Won a championship, so did Betts, so did Hightower, so did Marchand. They all did. But wasn't atop his position, wasn't atop the league consistently, and has some missteps in the playoffs. It's not like he was completely nails. He wasn't Julian Edelman. That's why Edelman's in the second tier. Multiple championships, multiple big moments in the playoffs. That's why Pierce is in the second. Now, Pierce doesn't have the All-NBAs, but he was with the Celtics longer. He did lead them to a championship, and I think as the number one, he led them. Jaylen Brown has never led them, the Celtics, to the Eastern Conference Finals as the number one. Never done that. Pierce did do that. Pierce has to get elevated. Some of those early 2000 Celtics teams were fun. Couldn't win it all, but they were fun. They made some noise. Pierce was excellent. Had a cool nickname. The eye test. He passed everything about the eye test. So, I can't put him on the same level as Paul Pierce. And I'm not talking about Ray Allen, Kevin. Like, those guys weren't here long enough. You have to be here 7 years or more. I don't even know. Was Mookie Betts here that long? I mean, in the organization, he probably was. Probably was in the organization. It sucks to think about the teams in that way. Red Sox, Celtics. Good, but unable to win the championship. Like, I don't like to be here. Right now, the Patriots are the only team that you say, okay, they're good enough to win the championship and they're acting appropriately. They're behaving appropriately. Actually trying to win, doing what it takes. That's significant. And we're going to get into football in a little bit. Dan is in Rhode Island. Hey, Danny.
So quick. How you doing?
What's up, man?
I hope you do a show with Andy at some point. That would be good radio.
Yeah, we haven't gotten a chance to connect, but that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Tried to do it back in the day with Kitch, me, Andy, and Kitch. It never happened, but we'll see.
Yeah, I know, but you're the best of what they had.
Thanks.
Did you catch any of Cerrone's show yesterday?
What are you talking about? What are you referencing? No, not much of it, no.
He had about a 3-minute monologue about Jaylen Brown.
Yep.
And I honestly thought it was the best 3 minutes of radio I've heard in the last 20 years.
Give me what was his main point?
His main point was basically he's been saying for the last 3 years that the Celtics window was closing the minute he signed that contract, and that there was no way that they were ever going to pay him and Tatum moving forward. Okay. It was just, but he was also kind of purporting that he isn't worth the contract either, which I think everybody would agree. But he said the real thing he says, he goes, I think once if he had signed the extension for whatever it was, 2 years and $140 million, he automatically becomes Paul George, meaning he's got one of the worst contracts in the NBA. He's a 30-something guy who's owned a ton of money. And the thing was, is if they paid Brown the extension, then they have to pay Tatum like $72 million, and now you can't do anything. And that's why he said you had to do it now. And I just agree with what he was saying. I just don't think you can build a team under the CBA the way it is right now with the aprons. I think a lot of teams are going to end up doing the same thing. But, I just thought the way he put it, if you get a chance to listen to it, it was really, really good. That's all.
All right, will do. Thanks, Danny.
See you, buddy. Take care.
That's, unfortunately, I'm coming around to that. And I think I said it on Felger and Maz one of the days that I was on after the initial reaction to the trade happened. When you think about it, I think it's hard for this region to get their arms around because we haven't seen other organizations put in this position. But when you talk about you're not able to combine salaries to make a trade, yeah, that's going to really hurt your ability to build a team other than draft picks. And we know that basketball is way more like baseball than anyone wants to admit, where you draft these guys and they're not ready to play for years. They're not ready to actually contribute to a real NBA situation. And by real situation, I'm talking playoffs, championship run. And I hate the fact that I have to acknowledge this, but yeah, it feels like more and more this was a move that had to be made. And I always thought a red flag was what the NBA did to Brad Stevens. That was a red flag to me. Because Jaylen Brown is obviously a tremendous player. He is a superstar in the NBA. And once upon a time, that was everything. Now, all of a sudden, nobody wants to trade for Jaylen Brown? Made no sense to me, and I didn't understand why. Now I think we're starting to see why. The contract, the second apron, it makes it almost impossible to adequately build a team. And if you don't think Brown is Michael Jordan, which he's not, why are you going to pay all that money? Why are you going to do get rid of draft picks, pay all that money, bring them in? I mean, it just doesn't make sense to sign up for that long term. Unless you're a team like Philly that is just desperate, the process, they're trying to win a ring, get over the hump one time, and you think he can help you maybe one time. And he's not going to be there long. But you think he can help you for that one run to a championship, get you the title that you've been for a decade building towards, and at least say you completed the process. And Cerrone's right. As soon as he signed that deal, based on the current structure in the CBA, the clock was ticking. The question I would ask is, you bring back Paul George on a similar type of number. Was it worth maybe holding on longer with Jaylen Brown for another year or two before you had to give him the extension that really locked you into that second apron? Or was it going to come and hit you before that? Obviously, Brad Stevens liked that George was on a shorter contract. You can get out of that money sooner, I guess. That was the rationale, and I don't disagree with it. I'm just, why did they have to get rid of Brown so quickly, urgently, right now? Yeah, that's fine. It wasn't going to work long term. I think it could have been handled differently. Not necessarily better, but differently. That would have made people understand it a little bit more. And maybe that's on Brad Stevens' first performance during the press conference. Either way, I'm just saying, as time goes on, it is looking more and more like this was an unavoidable move, and it was just a matter of time. So, that sucks. But I do think, if I had to bet, I would say more and more NBA teams are going to be put in this position, and they are going to have to move on from guys like this more frequently as we move forward. Haven't seen it as much yet, so that's why it's so distressing for people of this region, myself included. But I feel like with time, it's not going to sting as much because other teams are going to have to do it. And Brad, I think, just had to be first to the party on this one based on the contract and what they were talking about. 617-779-0985. Do you want me to go to break now, Jeff? We can go to break. All right, we'll be back. There is some sound regarding Drake May. A couple Patriots quarterback thoughts as we're just under a week away from training camp. Chris Sims is a complete buffoon. I have not had a chance to address this. I have to address this. And we got to talk about Drake May too and this Patriots team. We're going to do that. Mark Dondero, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
No idea. I can.
Yeah, whatever. Look, some of these ex-athletes are so effing bad. I can't stand it. I can't stand some of these ex-athletes at what they do. Chris Sims, he's a moron. Okay? He's an idiot. This podcast, at least those guys, a couple of those guys were defending whoever was saying that he was average, and I don't know who that was. Like, what are you doing? Do you not, you didn't watch Drake May play, obviously. Why would you go on a podcast even? I know it's not the biggest platform. Why would you go on a podcast if you didn't watch Drake May during the regular season? Because that guy clearly didn't watch Drake May play. This isn't even about arguing someone's opinion. It's just stupid pollution. Stupidity. He's average. Did you watch him play? I mean, nothing about the eye test, the numbers, his play during the regular season where they were, by the way, playing NFL teams. Okay, they weren't playing high school teams. Says that quarterback was average. What an idiot. He's so stupid. How can you go on something and do that? Fire that guy. Don't let him, like the president, Trump should step in. Trump should step in and take all these people off the air like he did in the World Cup. Take him off. Take Sims off. Tom Brady, the 9th best quarterback. President, step in. I don't care. Ridiculous. Idiots. How can you say something so stupid? You know whose fault this is? What's the guy's name? Jerry Madelon. That's his name. He's the one that gave all these idiot ex-athletes a platform. Now, not all of them are stupid. We have some here that do great work. But some of them are just awful. Awful. I mean, listen to what you're saying. Crying out loud. I mean, say Drake May was average last year is the stupidest, dumbest thing I've ever heard. You watch him? Nobody thought the Patriots are going to be any good this year or last year. He was throwing a Stephon Diggs who can't even get a friggin' job. The line sucked. The receivers were okay at best. He's a second-year quarterback. Go to the Super Bowl and they dominate. He was number 2 in the MVP voting. He was average. Did you see some of those games against the Bills, against the Ravens? Players draped all over him. The dimes he threw. Hollins, Diggs, average. Asshat. Josh is in North Attleboro. Hey, Josh.
Dondero, you are so right. And, Emmanuel Acho or whatever, he was a limited player in the NFL. You remember him with the Joy Taylor
yeah, I know.
Fiasco. Yeah, so that's his claim to fame is that he had, allegedly sexual relations with coworkers. So we're going to take this guy's word against, talk about Drake May, please.
Yeah, I mean, it was his podcast. I don't think he was the one that was saying it. But that shouldn't even be a that shouldn't even be a discussion, honestly. Now, if you wanted to have a conversation about can Drake May repeat the year he had last year because of the postseason and now they're going to have a harder schedule, that's fair. But to say that Drake May in 2025 during the regular season was average, that's just stupid. That's not watching the games. That's not knowing the sport. You can't do that. Sox win again. You can't do that. Okay? That's all I'm saying. I cannot stand that level of idiocy. He changed the entire organization, and that is not talked about enough. Okay? Chris Sims or anybody. The role of the quarterback that is not talked about enough. I mean, it's the most important position in sports. I don't think that's debatable. But the role of the quarterback that is not talked about enough is their ability to lead and to establish a culture of winning for the team. Not talked about enough, but a primary job that they have. Okay, that's one of the key jobs of the quarterback. They have to establish a culture that creates opportunities to win and breeds winning. They all can't do that. 617-779-0985. We're going to get a headlines. We'll be right back. I can't stand some of these idiots in the media. Idiots. Gosh, I hope I never have to work with one. Call them out right to their face. Probably get pounded. Idiots. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Dutcher and Hardy, Owen Beetle, Felger and Mass, the Bruins, the Celtics, the Pats, the Revolution. This is Boston's home for sports. WBC FM at HD Boston, 98.5 The Sports Hub, a Beasley Media Group station. Sports Hub headlines.
All right, they've done it 13 in a row for the Boston Red Sox. They beat the Rays 6-1. They sweep the first place Tampa Bay Rays coming out of the All-Star break, and they keep the train moving. 13 in a row. I'll have to look at where they are in the standings, but they are in sole possession currently right now of a playoff spot, the Boston Red Sox, after the spring that they've had in sole possession of a playoff spot. And currently, what are they, 6.5 games back? 6 games back in the division. All of a sudden, they're chipping away to get back into the race in the American League East. Incredible. Wilson Contreras a home run in this game, 6-1 again, the final. Ryan Fox wins the Open Championship at Royal Birkdale with a birdie on the diabolical 18th hole, an incredible hole for Fox, avoiding the playoff with Cam Young. It's his first career major championship, and it's the first major champion from New Zealand since 1963. Just another note on the Red Sox real quick, 13 straight wins. They haven't done that since 1948 while we're talking about historical feats by athletes and teams. Speaking of a feat, World Cup final, currently scoreless at the half between Spain and Argentina. Second half getting underway shortly. And in the NBA Summer League last night, the Celtics fell to the Magic 103-97. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Don't put off losing weight this summer. Reach your goal during the easiest season for weight loss. Awaken 180, the official weight loss program of summer. I'm Mark Dondero for Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
This is what happens when analysts take over the games, take over the sport.
This is where you talk sports.
It happens all the time.
The Sports Hub. No matter what team, no matter what player, no matter what coach, no matter what game, it all happens here. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
That moment, then, thereafter. But after that moment is up, you're completely fraudulent. Because you're exposed as not having a clue of what you're talking about, so you can't have that guest on again. And that's what this is. Whoever this was on this podcast should get that treatment, because to say Drake May was average in the regular season last year is, that's not even hating. That's just idiocy. You feel bad for that man. Speaking of which, look, Chris Sims created a list of the top quarterbacks all time in their prime. Okay. Now, Chris Sims hates Tom Brady. We know that. Tom Brady must have had relations with his woman back in the day when he played for the Patriots, Sims. He must have been dating someone, and while they were dating, Tom Brady must have walked up to Chris Sims, said, "I know your girlfriend is in town," said, "I'm going to ask your girlfriend to come to my apartment, and I'm going to have her bring sexy lingerie, and I'm going to, have a night with her. And then I'll let her go back to you after that." That's what must have happened, because this man hates Tom Brady. Okay? Sims all-time in their prime quarterbacks. Tom Brady, number 9. Okay? Number 1, I'll tell you the list. It's number 1 is Peyton Manning, number 2 Patrick Mahomes. Number 3, Aaron Rodgers. Number 4, John Elway. Number 5, Brett Favre. Number 6, Josh Allen. Number 7, Lamar Jackson. Number 8, Dan Marino. And 10 is Roger Staubach. Tom Brady, number 9. You idiot. How can you be so employed, Chris Sims? How could you do that to some? How could somebody at the network not be like, this guy's covering the sport for us on a marquee level? It's just ridiculous. He's stupid. It's stupid. You can't say Tom Brady's the 9th best quarterback of all time. My God, how can you be so brain dead for football? Do you know what Tom Brady did in his prime? Do you know when he got into his prime, what he actually did? Okay? He established a culture with the Patriots that helped elevate every single person on that roster's game. That's what that mother effer did in his prime. You idiot. Does that not count? What are you doing? What are you looking at? The single most important trait that man had, cultivated through the work he put in practice, in training camp, and it came to fruition in his prime. That's when the Patriots became the Patriots. Yes, he got better physically. His ability to throw, all that improved. He saw the game better. The game slowed down for him. All those things. Okay? Who gives a rip whether he jumped over the line or threw the ball 100 yards? Who cares? Aaron Rodgers at number 3? The guy went to one Super Bowl. Why? Because no one could stand him. See, now I'm getting that vein in my neck again, and I'm getting upset. I said I'd work on this. I'm upset. No one could stand Aaron Rodgers. His teammates hated him, and he was an awful leader. So what? He could scramble better than Brady and throw the ball on the run better. Who gives a crap? What a stupid metric. Gosh. Aaron Rodgers at number 3 went to one Super Bowl in an era where quarterbacks were protected more than anything, any part of NFL history. And he couldn't. Lamar Jackson? Seriously? Lamar Jackson, I know you'll disagree with this. Lamar Jackson is literally Tim Tebow on steroids. That's what he is. He's Tim Tebow. You might not want to admit it. It's okay. He is Tim effing Tebow. He's just more talented. Okay? He needed the Ravens to tailor their offense for him. Why do you think in the playoffs he struggles? Because when things get where you need to be a dude, he is not as capable of doing that because that's never been his ultimate strength. Okay? He's never been as good at that in that regard. And that's why his teams in the playoffs falter. So he can run fast. Okay? And he can throw. Great. He is Tim Tebow on steroids. He is a more talented Tim Tebow. The Broncos, they went to the playoffs with Tebow because they tailored everything around his strengths just like the Ravens do for Jackson, except Jackson's more talented. He couldn't do what Brady could do. He couldn't see the field the way Brady saw the friggin' field. Are you serious, Chris Sims? Horrendous list. Brett Favre? Do you know how many interceptions the guy threw? Oh, he was just, trying to make a play. People didn't like him either. What type of leadership, what type of work ethic did Brett Favre demand from his teammates? Do you analyze the sport? Have you watched the greatness of other athletes? Have you watched The Last Dance? Have you absorbed the greatness of Michael Jordan and juxtaposed that to Tom Brady? You don't see any parallels? How could you be employed by the network and say something so ridiculous? I mean, there's people making nothing doing podcasts that know more than that. God, America. It's a great country. People like that can get a friggin' network job. Pathetic. It's a pathetic take. Tom Brady, 9th all time. Aaron Rodgers. Peyton Manning, for years, couldn't win outdoors. His teams weren't tough enough. You think that's because of the coaching? No, it's because Manning and his leadership style didn't allow them to be the team that they needed to be to win a championship. Okay? Mahomes is coached and guided by one of the greatest offensive minds in the history of the damn sport. His career's not even over. What if he sucks for the next 5 years? They didn't even make the playoffs last year. Tom Brady has 7 Super Bowls. He went to the Super Bowl and won it by blowing out Mahomes as a 48-year-old with Tampa, whatever he was, 43, 4, I don't know, old. It's because he went down there and immediately established the culture and the demands of winning and excellence. That's part of the job of the quarterback. I'm sorry, I feel bad calling this man an idiot, but I don't know what else to say. You cannot have Tom Brady 9th on that list. You cannot do that. You cannot. I don't care what personal vendetta you have. You can't do that. It's ridiculous. Because he doesn't run the 40 in under 4.9 or whatever it was. Who the hell cares? Quarterback. 20 plus years. 7 Super Bowls. One without Belichick. Undefeated regular season. MVPs. All because he can't run fast? You put Josh Allen ahead of him? Josh Allen. I mean, it's one thing for Lloyd Carr to get it wrong in college, but for you to witness the career that he had, the 7 Super Bowls, and the way he was able to elevate everyone around him, not just the offensive pass catchers either, the entire team, to put him at 9th on that list is completely and utterly inexcusable. And it concerns me that there are people living in society that have jobs. Like, I hope a doctor never has a job with the intellect of Chris Sims of football. I hope that parallel is never in play, because that would be dangerous for society. That's inexcusable. Like, you might have played in the NFL. You might have done this. You know crap about the sport. Pathetic. 617-779-0985. Pathetic. All right, when we get back, Red Sox win again. 13 in a row. I'm Mark Dondero, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
All right, back here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Oh, yeah, I don't mean to get so worked up. Yeah, I'm sorry I call Chris Sims an idiot. But, I mean, there's just no defense for what he did. It's absolutely inexplicably pathetic to have that man, Tom Brady, that low on the list of in their prime quarterbacks. Now, if it was a list for the most athletic quarterbacks, or physically gifted quarterback. That's not what it was, though. If it was a physically gifted quarterbacks list, then I get it. You put Brady way down there. Fine. This wasn't what the list was. It was quarterbacks in their prime. Okay? And once Brady established himself in his prime, he also established the culture of winning and excellence and work ethic and accountability. And he set the standard. That didn't happen until he was in his prime, where it really started to thrive. And that became the Patriot way. That's it. David is in Boston. Hey, David. Hey, David. What's up?
Hello. Hello, are you there?
Yeah, I've got you.
Hey, thank you, man. Thank you for the producers for putting somebody on that can climb inside the football synapses of my brain, man. You ask the same questions I'm asking, you know? The madness. But particularly, I'm a little bit nervous. Drake May looked good. The performance was there. And it is the leadership. You know what I mean? When he gets bombarded at game after game, when you've seen it. Quarterbacks get schizo, and then they can't lead, and then they lose it. I'm just hoping. Do you think that he can sustain this leadership and performance? I've seen the performance, but not the leadership. And it's a twofer. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, that's a good question, David. Thanks for the call. So here's what I'll say. Okay, from a leadership perspective, it's sort of twofold. Do I think Drake May is a grown-up who has a good work ethic, has his priorities in order, good head on his shoulders, good teammate, all those things? I do. I think he checks all those boxes. So I don't have to worry about him being immature or being lazy. I don't think he's lazy or setting a bad example for everybody else on the team. I don't worry about any of those things. So that leadership aspect is clean from my perspective of Drake May and having covered him since he's been here. Where I would, where I'm less confident is his ability to remain confident. Okay, I think Tom Brady, not that he had a lot of ups and downs, he didn't really have many downs. Even when he did, though, I think Tom Brady always remained Tom Brady. Optimistic, good body language. Yes, he would get fiery. Yes, you could get upset. But it wasn't until, 2019 where we really saw it, and things were wearing on him at that point. But if you're talking about the earlier versions of Tom Brady, I never saw a look in his eye I didn't like. I did see that with Drake May a little bit in the Super Bowl, but that was one game. For whatever reason, it didn't work out that day. That's all right. He was young. He'd never been there before. But Tom Brady, I never saw a look in his eye I didn't like. Okay, I never questioned where his head was at in terms of his confidence level. And if he thought they'd be able to have success against whatever opponent they were playing. I felt that in the Super Bowl with Drake May. So do I think he's legit? Of course I do. But do I think he's immune to getting maybe down on himself or having his confidence rattled? No, I don't. And if that happens, that can lead to some bad outcomes, some bad performances, and ultimately some bad games. So, we'll see. I know he's been put under the microscope a little bit more than any of us would have wanted, at least here in New England, because of the playoff performance, because of the way he played in some of these playoff games. So people are questioning whether or not he's legit. We just heard that ridiculous comment on the podcast there. That was completely different. That was not even right. Not even real. They weren't even questioning his playoff performance. They were questioning his entire NFL existence, which featured him doing ridiculous things week after week en route to the runner-up voting or runner-up spot in the MVP race. So I don't want to hear about this. But I think it's legit to question if he will be able to be a contending MVP type of candidate again, with a tougher schedule, with a book on him, all those things. I think he will be, especially when you add A.J. Brown to the mix. Another year with Josh McDaniels, a top-notch offensive mind, offensive coach. Mike Vrabel, a top coach overall. A coach that got a lot out of Ryan Tannehill in Tennessee. I think he's going to thrive. And it might not look quite as clean. It might not look quite as good. The record might not be quite as good. I don't think it will be. But I think May and the Patriots are going to be legit this year. They got a couple questions to answer. Linebacker, can their look, health is always a question. If their defense is healthy, Barmore, Williams, and then Gonzalez and that safety group, especially when you add Byard and what we saw out of Woodson. I mean, these guys made plays last year. You tell me they're all going to become frauds? No. May is legit. The safeties and defense, the corners, legit. Marcus Jones. They're going to need somebody to emerge at that linebacker level. We'll see what their edge rushing situation is. I'm not as worried about that if they're getting elite play from Williams and Barmore, but we'll see where that goes. Okay? I think Drake May is going to be just fine, and now he has A.J. Brown. And I'll tell you this. We're going to find out if you have questions about Drake May, they will get answered early. Okay? I don't think he's going to start off in a slump and then all of a sudden turn into an MVP candidate again. I think in the first 3 weeks, you're going to watch this man play, and they're going to play some good teams. I love the fact that they're going right away against the Seattle Seahawks. Put his ass right back in the fire, right in the spot where he had his worst moment of the season, and see if he has anything to say about it. That's what I cannot wait for, and we're a little over a little under 2 months away? Month and a half away? I can't wait. Don't set him up with a cupcake layup. I know no game is a layup in the NFL, but I don't want to see give me a team. The Cardinals at home in week 1. It's not what I'm looking for. I want to see on the road, opening night, banner getting raised in your face, the 12th man on fire, everybody reminding him how bad he played in the Super Bowl. Put him in that inferno, and let's see what you got. Let's see how you respond to that, because if he has the mettle that I think he has, we're going to see it right away. And I'll take the frustration of, where was that during the Super Bowl? If it means he is exercising some demons against the Seahawks. Because there's no reason to think if he's worse this year, that's a huge story. Yes, the schedule's better. But, look, even during the regular season, they played some good defenses. So maybe they don't win as many games. He should look good, though. He looked good. I know the playoffs were different. I can't dismiss that. But I also can't dismiss the entire regular season. So I'm going to watch the way he plays in some of those huge moments, and we're going to find out. We're going to find out what he's got early. Like I said, if he's legit as we think he is, he will look good immediately. He will come out immediately and look the part. Immediately. It's not going to take him 3 weeks to heat up and then he'll finally start looking like that. No, because if he does that, he's not as legit as we thought. He might not suck, but he's not as legit as we thought if that happens. If he's as legit as we thought, he will come out in week 1 against Seattle and immediately look the part again. He will prove that the Super Bowl was an anomaly and that he is Drake May, the MVP candidate from last year. Might not win the game, might not have a mistake-free night, but he will look the part. He'll look like the quarterback that we want him to be. So that's what you're looking for if you're talking about Drake May. And I can't wait to see it. Especially when you talk about A.J. Brown. We'll see what type of steps, a guy like Kyle Williams takes. I don't know what he's going to do. You talk about a better, more athletic offensive line. I expect the screen game to be more effective this year. And does Travion Henderson take another step forward? Can you get the production you've been getting from Ramondre Stevenson sans the fumbles? Those will all be huge questions. Man, the World Cup's a long tournament. I've enjoyed it, but it's a long tournament. June 10th to July 19th. It's like 5 weeks of soccer games. It's great. It's just a long tournament. 617-779-0985. Still scoreless. Argentina. I love a good South American European matchup. Those are the two best continents. With respect to Africa and some of the teams there, I feel like, Brazil, Argentina, and then those European countries, that's really the best of the best. So I love it. Give me Argentina, Spain, some of those big ones. Give me France, Brazil. Those are the games I want to see on the biggest stage that soccer has to offer. And I'm always in for a good international competition. Even though, soccer's not my top sport. 13 in a row for the Red Sox. We'll get back to that next. 617-779-0985. Mark Dondero.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Told you how I'm feeling. I am completely conflicted. And, I'm not. Because I still disagree with the way the ownership group has run this team, has built this team. I completely disagree. But I give respect to the players and to the organization for the turnaround and for the win streak. I'm rooting for the record. We're probably too early to talk about that. That's okay. The record is 22, the modern record. 22 wins, Cleveland Guardians. From 2017. It's too early to discuss that. That's what I'm rooting for because I don't believe they're a contender to win the World Series. I don't care. I know the American League's down. I know if you get there, anything could happen. I don't care. I don't believe it. And I'm just making sure everybody is clear with my position because I do this. I talk about this on the air. So I'm on the record. I don't agree with the way they've built this team, and I don't believe in it. And this win streak does nothing to change my mind. I am not going to sit here in the midst of 13 straight wins and change course only in 5 weeks when they're back to being a 500 team to say, actually, you know what? I'm going back. I don't like what they're doing. I don't like how they've built this team. They don't have enough. Okay? This is a nice stretch. They have found a rhythm. But I also feel like the fact that they found the rhythm when their best player got exiled feels like a red flag to me. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Let's go to Ed in North Carolina on the Patriots. Hey, Ed.
Hey, Mark. How you doing?
What's up, man?
Well, nothing much. I wanted to take you in a different direction.
Yeah.
And see what you thought about the idea, since we're entering training camp, of possibly training like a safety or a receiver or someone to kick off. It's not that hard to kick the ball 50, 55 yards. And additionally, you'd have somebody there that's a playmaker on the backside in case the return man got loose. What do you think?
Well, thanks for the call. That's one of the most random questions I've ever gotten. I don't actually hate it. If you think you could really use, I don't know. Do they have returns anymore in the NFL?
It seems like they're trying to get it back.
Yeah, okay. Well, look, that's something that I bet Bill Belichick would have loved that question once upon a time, or maybe he would have thought it was crazy. I don't know. I feel like if a guy who has the ability to tackle can kick off, the question would become, would it be more productive to teach a guy that can't tackle but can kick how to tackle, or to teach a guy that can tackle but can't kick how to kick? I don't think you need to be particularly accurate with your, you do want to angle it, and there are plays, kick it right, kick off left, right, middle. But I feel like that could be trained if you have a strong enough leg. I don't know. I don't think, depending on what resources you have allocated to the special teams, I don't think it's worth it. But it's an interesting concept, especially if you're a team that's gotten burned over and over again with special teams plays, kickoff returns. I just think you should be able to avoid getting burned without, and it would have to be a backup. I don't want a starting defensive player getting in harm's way and getting, Gronk on the extra point, breaking his arm and being out for 9 weeks. So if you have a backup tackler that has a strong leg that you feel like could maybe kick off and do a decent job and then be there to tackle, go ahead. Thank you for the question. I think, getting back to the baseball, I just think the Red Sox are, I think they're, a best of 500 team. And is that okay with everyone? I know we're all swept up in this, and I think we're all just happy that we can now say there's a baseball season. But is this really what they are? Do you really believe this is the real Red Sox? Magical wins after magical win? I just don't believe it. If I'm being honest, I could sit here and wave the pom-poms. I don't believe it. They're hot. And it's fun. I'm not telling you not to enjoy it. I'm telling you I'm having a hard time enjoying it. And I wish I wasn't. I'm just having a bit of a hard time enjoying it because I know what this team really is, or at least I think I do, and history is on my side. They are not the type of team equipped to win a championship, and that's what I've been trained for over 20 years to root for. Okay, so if you're going to make me do it the other way, I need more time. I can't just say, all right, you know what? Okay, I'm going to accept the fact they're not going to be able to win the championship. They don't spend that money, even though they can. They don't. And we're just going to accept and be okay with, hey, can we make it competitive? Can we make a run at the playoffs, get into the playoffs, and then maybe make a little noise? Probably not win it all. Maybe make a little noise. Can I be okay with that? It's going to take time. Okay? It's going to take time. Maybe it didn't take you as much time. It's going to take me time because I know what this team used to be, what they used to do. I watch what the other teams that win it all do. I do like the fact, and I think this is real, the fact that they're winning these games puts the organization in a spot at the trade deadline. They have gotten people back on board for now, and you will get them right off board if you mess up the deadline. Red Sox currently a game and a half clear for the final wild card spot. A game and a half. Good for them. I mean, they had so many teams in front of them, it looked like it was going to be difficult for them to, even if they had a winning streak, to make up all the teams they were going to have to jump. They've done it. Improbably, but they've done it, and now we'll see if they can keep it going. And by the way, their next 3 series, Baltimore, sub 500, Toronto, sub 500. I know they've had their issues with the division, and then the A's. Okay? It's fun now. I'm just wondering in 5 weeks, when they have some adversity they're facing, or if it's a losing streak again, what happens at that time? That's what I'm wondering. Some stars on hand at the World Cup. Look like Carlos Alcaraz, Jay-Z and Beyonce, Serena Williams. Don't know who that is. A lot of stars at the World Cup. Still scoreless going on the 68th minute. Of course, they're going to go to shootout because I'm going to be in the car. I'm going to have to pull off, go into a bar. I mean, if they go to a shootout for the World Cup final, I've got to watch it. I got to find a way. But they're only in the, the 69th minute? So, you figure it's still a lot of time. We had another 20 minutes. So probably another 27 minutes plus 30 minutes of extra time. So it's like another 57 minutes of soccer. Somebody could score. 617-779-0985. I'm just interested in how you're dealing with the Red Sox. Are you just completely turning off to the big picture? Keeping the micro view at the forefront and just enjoying what they're doing right here and now? Or is what John Henry, what his philosophies have been recently, is that still overriding what they've done now like it is for me? You can let me know. Mark Dondero, 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5, the Sports Hub.
So I was saying to start the show, how I prefer when a major champion is a big name, but I have more and more respect for this Ryan Fox. I just found out that he started playing golf after high school. He didn't even make the PGA Tour until his mid-30s. See, this is like my dream. Now I'm older than that, but I still somewhere deep down feel like, this is what I always, there's one adjustment I'm going to make that's going to make it all click. And when it does, I'll be one of the best. I'll be able to shoot, par, even par. Just that one, I got to just find that one adjustment, and then it's all going to click. It hasn't to this point. Didn't make an adjustment a couple weeks back on a trip to Florida, and since then I've been better. Had a couple nice rounds, but not exactly headed for the PGA Tour. Can't say that. So that's okay. Just keep it going. All I want to do when I play is just break 80. Break 90. Be in the 80s. If I could break 80, that'd be great. I just want to break 90 every time I play. That's my goal. Just be a consistent 80s golfer. It happens a good amount, but then there's still some rounds where I'm 92, 93, 94. And that's tough. It's tough. So congrats to Ryan. Great ending to the tournament. I just wish it was, McIlroy or Scheffler or DeChambeau that did what he did. That would have been more epic for me, as just watching. But it was a great ending. World Cup still scoreless. Spain looks like starting to impose a little bit of their will. Way more of the game has been played in the Argentina end. They've gotten some shots. It feels like it's only a matter of time. But you don't count out Argentina and Messi and what they're doing. You got to keep it. You got to respect their championship grit. They've won it. They've been there. Messi's the best. Still highly productive. Probably his last World Cup. Obviously not going to win the, well, I shouldn't say there's still time, but he's probably not going to win that golden boot like I was hoping. It's going to go to Mbappe because of what he did in the meaningless game yesterday. He won it the last time too. So I guess he's the best scorer. So that will be the one thing that Messi doesn't win in his career. But I think he would trade that if he can win this game and win a second World Cup. I mean, I don't know. When was the last time a team won back-to-back World Cups? I don't know the answer to that. And in terms of other legends, I don't know who's won the most. Just not as into soccer. I know Italy has won. France has won in my lifetime. Brazil won in 94 when it was in America the last time. So, those guys, like some of the Brazilians, I'm sure have won some big championships and have some of the hardware. But Messi, what he's doing here, if he can find a way to lead them, especially as
they don't have a single shot.
Who, Argentina?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, Spain's given up one goal the whole tournament.
They just flashed it up there. That's insane to think of. 80 minutes into this, Argentina doesn't have a single shot.
That's where I would just say, all right, F it. I'm just going to put one on net just to say we have a shot. Like, even if it's not a good shot or a hard shot, cross the midline and just shoot one on net just to get it on net. I mean, I've seen them get down in that zone a couple times, but it's hard to imagine if you have no shot, how are you going to break through with a goal? But you never know. Something stupid could happen. A handball in the box. By the way, just in case you were wondering, the next World Cup, Morocco, Portugal, and Spain. So up in that area, that quadrant of Europe, like this was North America, United States, Mexico, Canada. It'll be Spain, Portugal, and Morocco hosting the next World Cup. So, could be big for Spain. Win this World Cup, host the next World Cup. Argentina won in 2022, just to get you caught up. 2018, it was France. That was the one in Russia that the United States was not in. Then it was Germany won the 2014 World Cup in Brazil. Spain did win in 2010. Italy in 2006. And Brazil in 2002. And then it kind of alternated between Brazil and France. And there you go. So there has not been a repeat. Have a good one.
From the Town Fair Tire Studio, this is
strong finger all up and go.